Hello, beautiful community. Today I have a fun little message about the angelic ego, and I'm excited to talk about it. So let's get into it. Let's go. Oopsies. Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new, I'm Lydia. I'm an energy healer. I work with the mind, body, and soul to help you activate into the next level of consciousness and get us into this next state of being. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so glad that you are here with me. Today, we're going to talk about something that's been on my mind for a little bit, and Spirit has guided me to talk about it today. So let's talk about it, and that's the spiritual ego. That's the angelic ego. La-di-da-di-da, ra-di-da-di-da. I think this is something in the spiritual community that isn't talked about enough, but I think really should be, especially as there's so many more people coming into the spiritual space. So let's talk about that drop from the high to the low and learning how to navigate that. So as messengers and as channels, we're channeling in with very high frequencies. High frequencies, the angelic realm, the higher guides, the team, divine light source, all of that stuff. So when we're in that channeled space, it is so beautifully harmonious. It is so beautiful in unity, in love, and all of this stuff. But one thing that happens is when you come out of that space and you have to drop back down to reality, there can be a real hard reality, set in there. And often we can get angry or we can get triggered by very small things, because when you're in this high frequency energy, whether you're channeling or you're the one being healed or have work done on you, you're in this very high frequency. That high frequency, you have to have a high frequency of sensitivity as well. So we're very sensitive to all of these different sensory inputs, all of these different channelings that are coming in. We have to be very sensitive. So then when we're coming out of that, your sensitivity is still very heightened, and you come back down into reality, which is deep in duality, deep in the extremes, and you get very triggered by anything. So this is something I want to talk about, is how are we going to be able to navigate in between those highs and those low frequencies? And the first thing to do, I really think, is just to address it. I think the first thing is to be aware of this angelic or spiritual ego of thinking maybe that you are better than others. And that's something that comes in when you come down from that high. There's this feeling of like, oh yeah, I'm so high and mighty. I felt all of that love, all of that harmony. I felt it so good. And then you come down to reality and you look at other people and you're like, why are you acting like that? Why are you acting like that? Like, it's so frustrating. Like, how do you not see love? How do you not see life with enthusiasm? And so sometimes our own passions and our excitement for love can actually be the opposite of love. We're not actually showing love when we come back down and are like, why are you acting like that? Like, seriously. And this is something I have to address myself when I get out of a channeled space, when I get out of that live space where I'm just in that angelic presence, in the light, and I'm soaking up the light, and I come back to reality and I realize that things are not as they seem up in that angelic space. It can be difficult to digest. It can be difficult to process and be like, oh shoot, this reality still has a lot to work on before we get to that fifth dimensional space that we want to be in. And on top of that, it is beautiful to be a channeler or a messenger of that fifth dimensional space to the third dimensional space. And I don't want you to not do that. I don't want you to not bring that energy down. It's important to bring that energy down. But the thing about that is, in that, we have to translate it through dimensions. So when you're trying to speak to someone about fifth dimensional ideas, so unconditional love, harmony for all, unity for everyone, those type of ideas are still very much up here compared to where we're at down here, okay? So as you go down, you have to also come back into reality and learn how to translate through reality. If you're trying to talk to someone in the third dimension, speaking in fifth dimensional language, you're not going to connect. There's no connection here. But you as a fifth dimensional being has to anchor in that fifth dimensional energy all the way down to the third dimension and be very conscious and aware of your physical reality, your physical body, all things that are physical, okay? So there's a lot going on there. We have to be able to navigate both the spiritual, the mental, and the physical. Okay, so working through all of those, I know that a lot of us spiritual people just love to stay up in that fifth dimension. It's so much easier to stay up there. It's so easy to anchor in that energy up there. But are you being able to communicate? Are you communicating properly back down to that third dimension? Because if you're trying to talk to someone They're not going to understand fully because of your excitement of the fifth dimension, and they're still in the third dimension. Does that make sense? I hope it does. But again, remember, being a messenger is such an important role, and keep doing it, keep loving it. Let's just be aware. And again, the angelic ego is the shadow part of channeling in with the angels. Angels do have egos. They do. Okay? That's a thing. And they can be tough. They can be hard. Angels, working with angels, they can like slap you across the face. They can whip you up. I mean, Old Testament, Jacob in the Bible literally wrestled with God, with an angel all night, and then physically was wounded, had a hip out of place, and had a limp for the rest of his life. That is the power of the angelic energy, okay? So imagine channeling that angelic energy and then bringing it down to the physical reality. It can be disturbing. It can be difficult. And we can sometimes have this intensity and aggression towards, hey, we need to be up in that fifth dimension. We need to be in harmony. And sometimes that type of conversation isn't really translating well, because it's almost too intense. It's almost too much, okay? So you gotta tone it back down to reality. Okay? I can even feel myself now. Let's come back down to reality, all right? So angels have egos just the same way that humans do. It's just in a different frequency, okay? So, and that's something I don't think the spiritual community is talking about enough, is that egoic energy. We're the messengers that are supposed to be bringing these together, not creating more tension, right? We don't want to be the messenger that says, oh, I hate being in the physical reality. Oh, I hate humans. Why are they like that? Oh, I hate. That's not helpful. Is it? Is it helpful? Because I don't think it's helpful. It's actually much more helpful to learn how to truly navigate in the earth plane, because you're on the earth plane for a reason, okay? You're on the earth plane to learn all of the different emotions that come with this, and you're learning how to navigate the spiritual conversation from heaven to earth, okay? You're the messenger. You're a messenger for a reason. You can do this. I promise you. So let's talk about how we can get from that higher dimensional energy to the lower dimensional energy without all of that disconnect or dissonance or disharmony that's taking place. And one thing that is important, and I asked my partner, hey, how could I be better? How could I show up better without instantly being aggressive after I get off alive? Because the natural state of Earth can be very overwhelming, okay? And so she gave me this example of a scuba diver. So at about, I don't know, maybe it's like 5 feet or something, a scuba diver has to, like, it might be longer, I don't know. A scuba diver has to kind of sit in that pressure that they're at so that their bodies can attune to that pressure, the pressure of the ocean. Okay, so that's kind of how it is when we're in that angelic presence all the way back down to earth. Sometimes before we come back to reality, maybe we just need to sit in that pressure. We need to sit in that remembrance of what it's like to be a human without instantly going back to reality. So if you're getting a healing done, or if you're doing a healing on someone, before you come back to reality, really take some time to breathe back into your body, to remember who you are, to ground into reality, to remember that things are still constantly changing. Not everything is perfect, because this journey isn't supposed to be about being perfect. If it was about being perfect, you wouldn't be here, because this is not about being perfect. It's about making mistakes and learning from them, right? So really coming back into that state of being is going to be very helpful for you and everyone around you, okay? So that's one of those things that you can do to help you come back into reality. Comment down below if you have any other suggestions of what you do to help you come back into reality without that overwhelm or frustration in humanity. What are ways as a channeler, as a star being, as a light worker, that you can come back to reality with lots of hope and harmony, and bring that, anchoring that in. One thing that I like to also do is anchor in that fifth dimensional energy before I come back into reality. I anchor that into the ground beneath my feet so that I can start to walk in harmony, that fifth dimensional energy can come into the physical plane. But I know that it might not be instant, and it might take some time for us to get into that state of harmony. It's been, since Adam and Eve that we've still been out of harmony. So I'm not expecting us to change overnight, but I do expect us to change. I really do believe in humanity. I believe that we can change. I believe that it's a beautiful place to be, truly. And again, we chose to be on Earth. We chose to be on this physical plane to learn from this physical reality, to learn from the highs and the lows, to learn from the duality, to learn how to bring unity into duality. And that's something that's so important. We are placed on earth to experience it all, and we aren't meant to just stay in that high frequency. If we stay in that high frequency for too long, there is a chance that we're just going to drop right back down, okay? So what we do need to do is stretch and work out our emotional muscles. And this is strengthening the unity of emotion, not just having good or bad, high or low frequencies or emotions, but being able to navigate that neutrality, that middle state of being where we can see things from all perspectives. Also, let's get out of the mentality that we have to only be in a high frequency or only in the light to communicate with spirit. Spirit is in all things. Believe it or not. Believe it or not, spirit is in all things. God is in all things, even in those low moments. I don't think we need to fetishize the negativity or the low moments or the darkness, but what we can do is know that those are meeting points as well. That we do not need to be ashamed of being in any low state of being. There's a reason that we're in that low state of being. But when you allow that low state of being to then take over you and you feel like you don't have any control over it any longer, that's when it can have a little bit of a negative effect. But when you allow yourself to be in that low when you're being initiated to, and then to bounce right back up when you're ready, that's perfectly beautiful. Like we're in this earth plane for a reason, to navigate the highs and the lows of this lifetime. So really feel into it. The more that you can feel confident and at strength when you go into those lows, the easier it's going to be to go down to those lows and then go right back up. It is beautiful to test that emotional muscle, okay? To strengthen that emotional muscle, to say, I know I can be low and I'm still going to get up after that. That's important. The more that we can navigate through each emotion, the more that we're going to strengthen that muscle, okay? So if we can navigate, if we can go into those low emotions and know that we still have sanity and divinity in that, we're not fully letting go of the divine, but we're saying, all right, divine, I submit. You're asking me to be in this state of low or this low moment, and I submit to that. I am okay letting go for a moment and just allowing the divine to take me there. That is going to teach those low emotional muscles. Sometimes we're going to be initiated to be in that middle state. Sometimes it might feel a little bit stagnant. Sometimes it might just feel at ease. We're going to be initiated to be in that middle state. For a lot of us, we think that we either have to be high or super low. But a lot of times we need to actually just navigate the middle of being okay with small moments, being okay with the stillness, being okay with silence. These are the muscles that we need to strengthen as a society. We need to strengthen our unity muscles, our ability to understand both the light and the dark. Is going to help you effectively not be so upset when you are in a low, or not be so overwhelmed when you are in the high. Because something that does happen in that high frequency is we can get a lot of symptoms from that. You can get headaches, you can get sinus stuff, you can feel disconnected or dissociative when you're in that high state of being. So there's a shadow side to both the light, and there's a light side to the darkness, okay? So understand that duality and balance is so important in all of this. And I'm going to go back to the ego conversation. So ego isn't a bad thing. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing. It is something that helps us navigate the physical plane. It helps us bring confidence and it pushes us, and it helps us just understand who we are in the physical reality. But when we bring that angelic ego down to the physical reality, sometimes there can be this I'm better than you mentality that comes forward from spiritual vessels. And we can kind of look down upon other people that aren't in that same spiritual state of being. But I don't think that is helpful to literally anyone, because spirit is guiding us on the path that we need to be on that exact time, in that exact route. So allow yourself to be exactly where you need to be in that moment, because spirit is initiating you. And don't look down upon other people. Maybe they're in their zombie mode, maybe they're not awake yet, and that's okay. Spirit is leading them exactly how they need to be led, and what you need to do is shine your light in the way that you need to shine. Not necessarily evangelizing to other people, but just shining your light by being authentic in your state of being. That's going to be the most important for humanity. And remember that your vibration and your frequency makes an impact, okay? Being conscious, being aware of your impact is so important here. The truth is that we are all created equal. We are all created with the divine light within us flowing through our heart and our veins. We are all created with unconditional love and harmony in our veins that we can access at any point. And it is okay if other people haven't accessed that yet. It is okay that it might take them a little bit longer, but what we don't want to do is push them to a state of being that they're not ready for, because that can push them into psychosis, that can push them into spiritual unrest, and that could even push them farther away from their spiritual awakening because you're pushing them to do that, okay? So we really have to be in this state of ease, not letting our spiritual ego get the best of us and trying to push us to get everyone else to understand where you're at, okay? It's important to understand who you are first, and let that just be an example in itself. Let that be your testimony, is by just living your truth, not needing to show anyone how spiritually powerful you are or anything like that, okay? Again, I'm speaking all of this to me because this is a lesson that I've been learning. This is why I'm speaking this. I am very upfront and open with you all. I struggle with all of this stuff. It's okay. That's a part of the journey as well, okay? So again, I want to talk real quick. Angels aren't always butterflies and rainbows, okay? Like I talked about with the message of Jacob, the angel wrestled Jacob all night long and literally dislocated his hip, created a lot of issues with his body. Those are the angels that I'm working with. Those are the angels that we're channeling in with. They're intense. They have intensity. They have power. They want to push you. They want to keep you growing. They want to see how far you can go. Okay? And that's the energy that I channel. And when I come back to reality with that same intensity, with that same energy, and I realize that not all of reality and not all humanality is really reciprocating that energy, it can be difficult, okay? So we have to come back and be like, hey, wait a second. Wait a second, angelic ego. Wait a second, spiritual ego. I'm not better than anyone. I'm just channeling. I'm just a human being at the end of the day. I'm just a human doing. I'm hanging out. I'm living my truth, and that's enough, and that's enough. So again, last thing here, let's just keep awareness of our spiritual ego and our angelic ego, not thinking that we're any better than anyone else just because we've been longer on this spiritual journey or anything like that. With a lot of new spiritual beings coming in, a lot of new openness during the spiritual awakening, I think it's really important for us to not think that we're any better than anyone else due to how long we've been on this journey or whatever certifications we've had or what type of insight we're getting. We're no better than anyone else, yet you are learning something different than someone else. You might be engaging in a different conversation or rhetoric than someone else, and that's perfectly okay. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you took something away from this, and if not, maybe this was just for me, because I do channel a lot, and when I come out of that channeling space, it can be difficult to come back to reality because it's so hard here. It is, it really just is. And the more that we can bring peace and ease back into the reality from the heavenly space, the easier it's going to be to have those conscious conversations here in the physical reality. So coming back down with ease, make sure you guys are giving yourself lots of rest when you're done with healings or getting a healing. Give yourself a lot of time to incorporate back into the physical reality. And when you notice yourself bringing that spiritual ego back up, maybe comparing yourself to your partner or other people or your family, being like, they just don't understand because they're not spiritually well. Just allow yourself to reconcile that spirit will lead them when they are ready. And it is not your opportunity or your choice to change someone. It is their choice, and it is spirit's co-creation to make that happen. So I love you all so much. Go be the light. Go shine your light. Go do your thing, girl. I love you all. Have a great rest of your day.